into the Rion Frequency, where truth cuts deep, growth hits different, and culture leads the conversation. Hosted by Rion, this is the come up for the culture.
I want
Let's
to speak
elevate.
about black excellence. The fact that my brown skin feels heaven sent. When the wind blows, I feel the touch of heaven's breath. You brainwash your intelligence is evident. Evidence we built some pyramids that claim it's aliens. Melanin skin absorbs the light inside you radiant. Elevate your conscience, stuck inside the office. Employee of the month, they won't even put that in your coffin. Let's talk about the profit, the margins of spilled your bonnet. Drinking water from your faucet, just to give you droplets. If you in the club, it's popping. Penny, that's the option. Pictures that you prompted, but forget it cause you locked in. Living in the moment. Ryan said it's token, if you black poor, you broken. Black excellence, when they spill our blood, it's golden. The third eye, the karmic gates is open, but death is better than bondage. Yeah, that's the option. Stay cautious, stay dangerous. You don't need no accolades, nigga, you famous. Stay dangerous.
What's up, world? You are now tapped in to the Rion Frequency, and I'm your host, Ryan. And this is where our thoughts meet elevation, and we start to question everything that we learn, and we remember exactly who we are. This is episode 4, and we're going to get into a divide that I feel like really separates the us as black folks, because there seems to be this like ego that people have once they either become what they consider educated, or even worse, when they just get to a certain plight or a level of success. But just for a second, I gotta ask, like, what is the difference? Really, what is the difference between being educated and being certified, being accredited? What is the difference? I want you to understand that this is not a diss to formal education. Like, this is not an anti-learning type of thing or anti-intellectualism. This comes from a place of pro-liberation. Okay, so I'm just asking the question: what is the difference between being certified and being educated? Because to me, there's a difference, and we often confuse the two. We conflate them to be the same thing. A lot of black folks, especially in the post-racial America, they chase the validation from institutions that were never designed for really us to be a part of, and designed for our freedom. So I see a lot of educated black men and women, and it makes me so proud to see y'all doing y'all's thing. But at the same time, we hang up these degrees like they're war medals, and they're just certifications. We still lack a lot of self-knowledge. We still lack power. We still lack the ability to define our own realities. Stay with me. Just stay with me real quick. So black intellectualism, okay, and black exceptionalism is really where white anti-intellectualism came from. I look at the political climate that we're in today, and it makes so much more sense as to why we got so many dumb motherfuckers running around. I mean, just really look at like this weird ass loop that we stuck in right now. On one side, you have black exceptionalism, right? And that's being paraded like it's supposed to be the progress of our people. And then while on the other side, you got white America drowning in anti-intellectualism and white lashing. They're lashing the fuck out because they're mad. But what are they mad about? Are they mad about black exceptionalism? Possibly. I mean, Obama's trending right now. And what is white America, racist white America, not just white folks, but what is their obsession with Obama? Like, what is their obsession? Because he represents black exceptionalism, because white mediocrity still prevails in a society where black exceptionalism is just considered like status quo. So it's the reason why racist white folks are hyperfixated on the poster child of what black exceptionalism looks like. Ivy League educated black man. So just hear me out before I go on my Obama rant. Just hear me out. This is because I don't really want to talk about politics in this episode. This is really more so about for us to understand that there's unity in those of us who have got education, formal education, those of us who have understood our truths. I'm reading a really great book right now It's called Black as Fuck History, Black AF History. I love how it tells our history, and we honestly need more black education. So this episode 4 right here, right now, is a culmination of historical black figures and their teachings surrounding education versus the certification. So just hear me out. Black folks have always been told, right, to go be excellent. Go get them degrees. Go stack your credentials. Go become the first black whatever. Insert whatever fucking title you want right there. Go become the first black this. And then we're supposed to break glass ceilings, break generational traumas and curses. Do all that. Yeah, absolutely. And we celebrate all of the people who have done that. And we celebrate the people that are building to do that. But America, America at large is rejecting our science, our history, banning all of the books that they can find because they're crying about woke culture. Because that is what white anti-intellectualism is. It is fear disguised as politics. The real question is, okay, are we chasing status in a system that doesn't even respect the knowledge that is out and available to anyone? I mean, the internet is a real fucking thing. Anybody who wants to find some types of education in something, they can. But why doesn't anybody want to do it anymore? I feel like we should be building a new metric of measurement for our own greatness. It should not be a metric of measurement that is in assimilation to white people. White people are mediocre at best, at most of everything. Historically, they have contributed very little. They have always exploited and relied on the labor of the indigenous, the black folks, any race of people or any ethnicity of people that they consider to have conquered. They didn't conquer people because of their power. But let me reel it in for a second. Malcolm X, he gave a great speech about peacefully suffering, okay? And he believed that white society wanted us to not suffer. They just wanted us to suffer peacefully. So I'll give you a quote that Malcolm X said. And it says, "The white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equality or real freedom. He'd rather have you suffer peacefully than not suffer at all." Every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, anytime I hear something from Malcolm, let's just put it this way. Malcolm X is missed deeply. Because for his words to still be prophecy today, 2025, we need leaders. We need unity. And we need a greater understanding of what the fuck he just said. That the white man or white society, white supremacy, will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equality or real freedom. He'd rather have you suffer peacefully than not suffer at all. That is historically the black experience. So if white folks ever asked you what it's like to be black, tell them that. Is that not what we already see though? You know, they give us diversity panels, but not the ownership. And even now, you know, they're trying to strip diversity. They don't even like diversity because God forbid those Negroes be a part of something. In the institution of white supremacy, we were not built. We were not built into that infrastructure. At least not to be owners, not to have power. We were built into the infrastructure to provide the labor, provide the genius, and let them take credit for it. I'm gonna keep going. They give us scholarships, okay, but never sovereignty. They don't want us to be free. They just want us to have things. And they let a few of us in, you know, the token Negroes. But they make sure that we are still playing their game. I've been reading a book called The Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Bois. And honestly, like, it's exposed so much of the black experience. He wrote about double consciousness and that split feeling that you have of being black and being like American at the same time. You know, living in a world where you're consistently measuring yourself by someone else's yardstick. What does it mean to be black? versus what it means to be an American. Du Bois said, one never feels his two-ness, an American Negro, two souls, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings. So the question really does become, based off of what he's saying, is who are we trying to impress? Think about it. Like who are we trying to impress? Who gets to decide if we're educated or not? Who gets to decide that? Is it Harvard? Is it Yale? You know what I mean? Is it your HR department? Like who is it? Or is it our own ability to build and protect our institution of being black and sustain our own communities? In my pursuit of this knowledge, I've recently been reading Carter G. Woodson's book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And all of these books, they are so profound because the words they still ring true today. Carter G. Woodson said that if you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. I mean, just let that really just sink in and just hit you for a second. If you control a person's mind, if you control a man's mind, you don't need to control the body. You don't need to put them in chains anymore. They'll limit themselves. They'll police themselves. They'll volunteer for their own margins. So what have we done? We limit ourselves. We have policed ourselves. We have gatekept ourselves. Carter G. Woodson broke it down like this, okay? If you teach black folks that their role is at the bottom, they'll fight each other for last place. I'm going to say it again. If you teach black folks that their role is at the bottom, they'll fight each other for last place. That shit is deep as fuck. Because when we look at it as a whole, nigga, we scrapping with each other. For what? For what though? If you teach black folks that their history starts at slavery, they'll think freedom is the end goal. Freedom is not the end fucking goal. It's where we begin. Niggas not fighting for freedom no more. Because again, they'll put themselves inside of the margins. You don't have to do that. But most niggas with degrees don't care about that. You should though. The American education system, it's not really neutral, It's really designed for you to memorize. That's all it is. It's just a big memorization game. The things that I learned in school was really to memorize the white victories, They forced me to ignore the contributions of black folks because there were none. I didn't see any. I didn't hear about any. I didn't know any. And then, every now and then they'll drop in a George Washington Carver, for peanut butter, of course. We were taught to celebrate their heroes: George Washington, Abe Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, Christopher Columbus. Fuck all them niggas. What about our heroes? What about them? And then they told you to forget your ancestors and forget your ancestry. Forget where you came from. Woodson said it plainly that black people have been educated to be second-class citizens. Period. So we fight to be less second class. I couldn't tell you what that means because all of the measurements of our success is by white metrics. But white by design, like white supremacy, white by design, white metrics are mediocre. So you limit yourself with the degrees, the titles, the jobs, the status inside of their system. We're too often just measuring how well we've been trained to do something, but never how deeply we've been liberated. So the miseducation really isn't just about bad schooling. But yes, there is bad schooling and education, obviously because of redlining and how taxes are distributed towards public education. But it's about training people to believe that their value comes from white approval or proximity to whiteness. We are supposed to keep striving for a seat at that table and never thinking about our own table, or really just to build a new one. We're always trying to sit in rooms that the door is always closed, and we're always trying to scale, that fence or get over that barrier to be a part of something that we were not supposed to be. Why the hell are we chasing that? Why are we working so hard to do that? Carter G. Woodson further talks about, he's the father of Black history, by the way. Like, if y'all didn't know that, like, I need you to know that. But the miseducation of the Negro, it's not just like a history book. You know what I mean? Like, it's about a whole system. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as controversial as he was as a person, his teachings were more prolific than anything. He said, true education is not piling up degrees. It's the knowledge of self. When Elijah Muhammad was talking to the Black folks in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, he wasn't just telling our people, to reject white schools. He was trying to tell us to know yourself first before you let anybody define you. Because what is the point of having a PhD if you don't know who you are? What is the value of your blackness? Or what is the value of being the first Black this or Black that, or the only Black this, Black that, if you're still operating with someone else's narrative about your worth? I'm not telling everybody to go be a Muslim. I'm not telling you to become a part of the Nation of Islam. But there is true self-knowledge in the root of our education that comes from these teachings. So here's the foundation. Okay. If you know who you are, you'll know what to study. You'll know what to pay attention to. If you know where you come from, then you'll absolutely know where you're going. And if you know why you exist, it'll prevent you from being distracted by all of these fake milestones that have been set up to trap us. Elijah Muhammad taught this because he understood that there was a trap set by white supremacy of assimilation. White America would much rather give you a degree than actually give you freedom, because ultimately a degree it makes you useful. It makes you useful for their system. But the self-knowledge, you're no longer useful. That is where we stay dangerous. That is dangerous. So I just want to be clear about what I'm saying. Like, you can have a master's degree, a PhD, and still be mentally colonized. I know a lot of educated in the air quotes for show, Black folks that are still mentally colonized. They believe that they are better than other Black people because they went to college. It baffles me. You can get certified by white institutions and still be disqualified by white society. And that's because at the end of the day, they don't want you educated for real, not with self-knowledge. No. They just want you to be compliant. That's it. They don't need anything else from you. So while niggas are trying to flex degrees on people that don't have them, understand that you just became useful to their system, but not sovereign in your own. There is a difference. There is a difference between education and indoctrination. Education without self-knowledge is indoctrination. That's why the Nation of Islam focused on teaching Black folks who they were before slavery. A lot of people think that Black history starts with slavery. And that's the crazy thing, is because that's the system of education. Like, that's what they told you. They told you, like, your Black history, your Blackness starts at slavery. And most of us never thought to question, like, who we were before slavery. Not in comparison to Europeans. I don't give a shit what Europeans were doing. I'm talking about our people. Who were we? How many of us can really answer that question? The Nation of Islam also taught the power of their lineage, the importance of group economics. One thing that's missing right now from the Black community, unity. Unity, 100%. Unity. We're too busy fighting amongst each other. Internal beef. This episode is probably going to cause some internal beef, but I'm not beefing with you. Whether you educated, as in have formal degrees, certified in whatever it is that you do, or you don't, I'm not beefing with you. We talking about this for elevation, for the purpose of unity. And lastly, the Nation of Islam taught how to clean up their communities, spiritually, mentally, and economically. If you don't start with yourself, if you don't start with the self, then you will always serve someone else's agenda. I don't care what you have. I don't care where you were educated. If you don't have anything that is yourself, truly your Blackness, you're serving someone else's agenda. And you can tell yourself whatever. There is no amount of money. There is no house big enough. There are no cars fast enough or expensive enough for you to ever fucking fill the void of not knowing yourself. It's still, like, let's be real. Like, it's still happening today. If you don't know yourself, then you're serving someone else's agenda. They'll give you the 6-figure job. You know, they'll give you all of those things, but they just won't give you the blueprint. They'll never help you build generational wealth. How you got niggas who are making, you know, high 6-figure salaries and still don't have no generational wealth? Because you're serving their interests, not yours. They'll give you the corporate titles, the directors, the BPs. They'll give you that. They just won't give you the ownership. And like I said, they've been trying to take away from diversity. But I mean, before, you know, they were inviting us to diversity conferences, you know, but just not the boardrooms, you know, not when it comes to where the real power moves are made. So when we talk about black excellence, like, let's just make sure that when we discuss black excellence, that we're not running it up in someone else's game. Like, we're not running up the score in someone else's game. We got to ask ourselves, do I know who I am? Or do I just know how to get certified? How to get certified to go walk in society? Because that's really what Elijah Muhammad was getting at. Know yourself. Master yourself. Okay? And then you don't have to beg nobody for your validation. You don't have to assume that your worth is in proximity to your white neighbors or white schools or white neighborhoods. You don't always have to base your value off of what white people, white society does. Too often we see that. Beg for validation. So we're going to connect it back to, obviously, a lot of these books and lectures and things like that, this was early 1900s. I don't know why it's still relevant today. Dare I ask, why is it still fucking relevant today? That's something for us to think about. Let's just be real, okay? Most of us are still chasing the good Negro education path. You know, get certified, get approved, and then you can get a seat at their table. I don't want a seat at their table. Fuck their table. I want my table for my people. I want my table to reflect my people. I don't give a fuck about their table. Fuck their table. But Carter warned us, the same educational process which inspires and stimulates the oppressor with the thought that he is everything and has accomplished everything worthwhile, depresses and crushes at the same time the spark of genius in the Negro by making him feel that his race does not amount to much. So why do we celebrate black excellence? Run it back to what I just said. That's why we celebrate it. Because black excellence defies the mold of white mediocrity. That's why we celebrate it. Because despite all of the obstacles, everything that they put in place to keep us second class, we still rise above. If you reflect on the first episode, if you haven't watched it, watch it. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. We are gods. We rise above every fucking thing. And why? Why do we do it with so much style, so much grace? Because that's divinity. White folks can't handle that. White supremacy can't handle that. No, not at all. White society hates that shit. White society hates to see our divine genius manifest itself and bring something to fruition. Oh, white society hates that shit. So they go back to the drawing board to figure out how to place more obstacles, more traps, but we still always rise above it. You can't lock down black excellence. But I do want to put this here for some critical thought, okay? We do have to ask ourselves when we are celebrating black excellence to whose standards, though? For whose systems? And to do what? Because that's what Elijah Muhammad and Carter G. Woodson are talking about. They may be saying it differently, and they may be speaking totally different languages as far as their delivery, but they're essentially delivering the same thing. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching us to learn who we are so that we don't get trapped of being what they told us to be. And Carter G was telling us to watch the school system. It'll make you useful to white supremacy while thinking that you are winning. So today I'm not diminishing black excellence. And I'm not diminishing black education. I want to redirect the conversation about how we define the measurement of our excellence, the measurement of the education that we think that we're getting. I'm not shaming degrees. I'm not shaming certifications. I am asking though, what does your education do for your people? Who is going to benefit from your success? Are you empowered or are you just employed? And are you free or are you just busy? That's where I'd like to redirect the conversation to. This conversation is true to the statement that knowledge is power. But wisdom is liberation. This wisdom does not come from a classroom. It comes from experience, our history, self-studying, self-mastery, and it comes from our community. So today's frequency it's a simple one, but it's a powerful one. We will continue to stay learning and stay building, but most of all, stay dangerous in the way that you think. Do not just be useful to the power structure. Build your own, because we don't just elevate for our culture. We don't just put the jersey on our back for our culture. Remember that we do it with our culture. So until the next time, stay loyal, stay rooted, and keep that frequency high.
This was the Rion Frequency, where the wealth conversation starts with mindset and ends in legacy. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, rate us 5 stars, drop a review, and help the algorithm find the culture. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, smash the like. The Come Up is now in session.